So when it comes to the Sun versus Johnny Depp and libel trial, the judge, he seems tired of some of the things that AH's team has been doing in closing, and it's starting to show. And I mean, really, who can blame him? Whether it's pictures like this, showcasing supposed evidence that doesn't match up with, say, other evidence, or whether it's trying to pass off photographs like these from the James Corden show and saying, hey, a professional artist, they could camouflage all of the things we claimed. Yeah, I think everybody can see what exactly transpired. Now, granted, justice isn't always blind. It's sometimes blinded, and we don't know what the judge is thinking. But if this is any indication of what the judge is actually thinking, Johnny Depp, he has a great chance of winning. So let's look through this closing day. What a case this is. So hey there. Now, briefly, before we hit this is our second comic. Link is in the description. It's in demand right now, so you can still pick it up. This will be a great outing, too, and it helps us send a message to the mainstream comic companies. We can get out here. We can compete. You can call us what you want because we don't need you. Check that out if you'd like. Share that message, and thank you, as always. So when it comes to closing arguments, the judge, he seems a little underwhelmed by the Sun's lawyers. You can see this repeatedly in Sky.com's coverage, and if they're noting it, it must be bad because you know what? They are in the bag for AH. You can see them noting him asking questions. You can see him implying things are getting a little complicated, aka convoluted. And I want to drive this stuff home too. We don't know how this will turn out. Don't think this is an in the bag easy win because it's not. But still, this, it seems like an indication of how things are going. And really, why wouldn't the judge get annoyed with all of this? I mean, for example, you see this picture, one solo picture pulled out of dozens of them, where Miss Wass says that this photo, it showcases damages consistent with a headbutt. The only problem is this. This wasn't the only picture. There were dozens of them, many created by Josh Drew himself. And when you start examining these pictures, you start to notice something. They are all manipulated. Here, for example, there's an attempt to protrude lip and to try something with angles. That way it makes everything look bigger. This, however, it doesn't carry to the next image, which has an oversaturation of light. The same thing is tried with shadowing in the next one, to the point that you see shapes on the wall created because of this. I mean, over and over again, you have demonstrations of this. And if you start looking through them, well, it's got to be what the judge says. He's got to be saying to himself, are you kidding me? I mean, I'm not that silly. I'm not that naive. I can tell what you did here. This, too, stresses something. This is supposed to showcase hair loss. The photos themselves, they don't match up. But also, what's said here by Pennington, that stuff, it doesn't work into the narrative either. Quote, photos taken by AH's friend and neighbor, Raquel Rocky Pennington, appear to show clumps of AH's blonde hair, which she said was left on the floor of the penthouse. The photo is below. Miss Pennington told the court during her evidence last week that the damage to AH's head was by far the most serious of the injuries. Photos were also taken of AH's head and the alleged damage caused to her scalp on December the 17th, 2015. says that the damage was caused to the crown of her head when Depp dragged her across the floor of the room. Miss Wass says it is clear that the hair missing from that part of the scalp. Now, the problems with the narrative that we just saw, they're multifaceted. I mean, when we're talking about the hair itself, first of all, I mean, look at this versus that. Do they seem to match up to you? These hair pictures are also missing something instrumental, which Johnny Depp's team pointed out. They're missing roots. If you look at the pictures here, they haven't been pulled out. These look like they have been cut out. So yeah, not only do they not match up, but they don't look like they were pulled out whatsoever. Now, the other part of that is Raquel Pennington's claim that by and far was the worst example of what transpired over December 2015. I mean, if you look back, there are claims of a broken nose. There are claims of a busted lip. There are claims of 2 black eyes. In this photo, it is the most egregious example of what they've been saying. They say this bed, look at the thickness of it, by the way. This bed was broken by one person kneeling on another person's back, striking them repeatedly, and that Yeah, it gave way. Now, you're going to tell me that that little tuft of hair, that's the worst thing that happened during that? Kind of makes everything else, I don't know, look fabricated. Now, their evidence that they tried to present, they note 2 text messages that were sent. One text message has AH saying, hey, he did all of these things to me. I don't know what to do. And the other one is a text message that was sent to Kevin Murphy asking for maids to clean up the apartment. You know, because that's proof. Now, the most egregious claims, in my opinions, and the ones that would annoy me were I the judge, are these claims about the James Corden Late Late Show. Here, Miss Wass is saying that Johnny Depp's lawyers have tried to establish that slight differences indeed, between photographs taken by AH on the days after the alleged incident show that they lacked continuity. However, she says that it's the natural development of these types of things, natural development indeed, and refutes that these images were manipulated or that this stuff was faked. She also mentions that evidence makeup artist Melanie I, who did AH's makeup on the 16th of December ahead of the James Corden Late Late Show. Miss Wass says it's ridiculous to suggest that a professional makeup artist would not know the difference between marks like that created with makeup and real marks. Here are 2 images of AH on the James Corden Show that night. Now you notice this too. Here's her mouth wide open. Do you see any marks right here? We'll get some better ones in just a moment. And you look at this here. Do you see anything at all that is suggestive of any type of problem whatsoever? Now, here are a few more stills of the James Corden Show. You can go and check that out yourself, too. I think many people have. But if you're asking yourself, hey, is this the only thing that we have to go on for that? Absolutely not. See, while all of this was transpiring, we also got pictures from the paparazzi. And while I'm sure Johnny Depp, he didn't appreciate that stuff then, I'm sure that he appreciates it now. I mean, here, you can see AH's lip. There are no marks whatsoever. There are no marks, no swelling, anything around the nose. You have nothing around the eyes. Either she has that same miracle-working professional working with her yet again, or maybe, just maybe, all of this stuff is made up. Now, another thing that Miss Wass has to defeat in this is conflicting testimony given between stylists. See, here you have them bringing up AH's stylist, Samantha McMillan, gave evidence last week, saying she saw no marks there on AH's face around the time of the alleged incident. Miss Wass says this is directly conflicting with the evidence that the other stylist noted who did her makeup for the show. Miss Wass says AH told Miss McMillan after the show, I can't believe I got through that show with 2 black eyes, but failed to ask any further questions on hearing quote-unquote such incredible information. Miss Wass says that Samantha McMillan quote-unquote is lying. So when you're picking out people in this, of course, you got to side with that person with AH because the other person, they're lying, so is the video. And on top of that, everyone else is too. And that is literally what she's saying too. You need to believe AH, you need to believe her close circle of friends, and you need to believe her sister. But all of these random people that are testifying on Johnny Depp's behalf, you got to flush out what they were saying. Miss Wass also suggests evidence given earlier in the case by, among others, interior designer Laura D., cleaner Hilda Vargas, security guard Sean Bett, estate manager Kevin Murphy, another security guard Starling Jenkins, and Depp's artist friend Isaac B. is all to be doubted. She says their insistence that AH was wearing no makeup and had a clear face shortly after the alleged incident would have been more believable if they had said that they did not remember seeing makeup, but she says that their definite stance on the matter is is akin with trying to back up Depp and support him at all costs. So here's the problem with that. Here is AH with diminished makeup or no makeup on at all. The media says no makeup. I figure it's diminished, but really, I mean, you can see the difference, and maybe you would remember that in your mind. More importantly, if she had marks on her and she was in this state, they would be more prominent. But hey, all of those people, they're not truthful except AH's relatives, and AH's friend. Now, the judge, he speaks up a lot in this stuff, too, and I don't blame him. I mean, if I saw someone throwing their own father under the bus while they're writing Depp to say that a man's got to be a man, suggesting that that is messaging between two violent men, that maybe I would not be thrilled by that outcome. Now, the judge, he spoke up at least a dozen times today, and I have to say, on top of that, he has spoken up multiple times when AH's defenders, the son's lawyers, were speaking as well. And why wouldn't he? I mean, if you look at the evidence we've been presented, they cast doubts on a few of these supposed incidents. And if they cast doubt on just one, then what does it say about the others? It says that they all fall apart. Remember, too, that it is the smaller case to the bigger showdown that's coming January 2021. If you want me to be there, well, let me know in the comments as well. And like I said, this stuff, it's looking good for Johnny Depp, but we don't really know. Still, I think he has a great chance of winning. You let me know what you think in this, and as always, thank you.